Today we have, we'll take a look at a couple of svarim from the Baal Shem Tov. Let's take a look at it over here. Here we go. The Baal Shem Tov, we have this, this is about the siddur, and then we go into the Chumash Bereshis. Here, let's see, this is a siddur over here. This is the first of the two svarim. And then these are the haskamos, that means the approbations, the hakdama, me'iros einayim. It lights up the eyes. That's what me'iros einayim means. So here we have bereshis. Then part of it is the siddur. Oh, excuse me. The siddur. Oh yeah, Amud HaTfilah. That's about he's talking about the davening. He comments on that. The davening. So this is the Baal Shem Tov. And then, oh yeah, parshas Lech Lecha goes into Lech Lecha. So that's bereshis. That's part of bereshis. So that's the first sefer, the first of the svarim. And then here is the Baal Shem Tov Chelik Sheni. And it tells you about it, Chelik Sheni. That's Shemos, Vayikra, Bamidbar Devarim, V'yal Chamish Megillos Moadim. That's the Shemos, Vayikra, Bamidbar, and Devarim, and also on the 5 Megillos. Moadim, the Yamim Tovim. Let's take a look at parshas Vayikra. Oh, here, parshas Vayikra. So there's something nice over here. Let's take a look. Here we go. Ki chol sa'or b'chol davash lo saktiru. Mimenu isha l'Hashem. Any sourdough and any honey, lo saktiru mimenu. You shouldn't make a ketoris, means you shouldn't put it on the mizbeach. You shouldn't put it on the mizbeach. In other words, it shouldn't be put on the mizbeach, on the altar. Perush, the explanation is haremez. Perush haremez b'saor b'devash. So this is the explanation. Haremez b'saor b'devash. Saor and devash are hinting at, it alludes to, saor is sourdough, or saor is a kind of dough, v'devash and honey, legavos. It's a remez, it's alluding to gavos. Gaiva. Gaiva means haughtiness. Shehem maratichim v'olim kimo hagavohus shemagbia leiv ha'adam. So the sourdough and the honey, when they start boiling, they start rising. In other words, it rises up the matzah, and the matzah can't be. It has to be without any rising at all. It can't be leaven. So anyway, the sourdough and the honey, it starts boiling, and then it starts rising. Kemo hagavos, just like haughtiness. Shem gavia leiv adam, which makes the person's heart, it rises up the person's heart. Veheim dinei hakatnos. This is the dinim of katnos. One has to try to be small if one can. Ki koton rotze lihios godol. Oh, this is the rule of katnos, of the rule and nature of katnos, of when somebody is small, someone is small. Ki koton rotze lihios godol. Somebody that's small wants to become bigger. V'hedyot kofetz berosh, and somebody that is a layman, somebody that is not so a hedyot is somebody that's not like a bucky, not an expert. So somebody that's not an expert, kofetz berosh, he jumps to the head. In other words, one wants to try to be as big as one can. So we can see that in Megillah, Daf Yud Beis, Amud Beis. In Megillah, that's the daf, the 12th daf, and the second part of the amud, the second amud, the second part of the page. V'amar hakasuv, lo saktiru mimenu isha la Hashem. One shouldn't use it. One shouldn't put it on the mizbeach for isha, like a burnt offering for Hashem. La'avod al yedei gavos. One shouldn't serve Hashem with haughtiness. So we should try to be humble as possible. La'avod al yedei gavos. One should not. So one shouldn't serve the saor, that's the sourdough, and the devash, and that's the honey. One shouldn't serve it. Put it on the mizbeach, because one should not serve Hashem with gavos, with gaiva, with haughtiness. Rak korban reishis. Only the rak korban reishis. Only the first korban of reishis. Rotzaloma reishis his karvos lahashem yisbarach. To the beginning of your bringing something to Hashem, or the beginning of your becoming close to Hashem. Mutar lihios begavos. It can be with pride. At the beginning of one's service to Hashem, can be with pride. And then one can become lower, because if one tries to do whatever one can. If one is a little bit proud, so we first serve Hashem with pride. Then mitoch shalom l'shmo. Then after you do it with not the best of intentions, so one can later on acclimate to the better intentions. Shalom l'shmo, mitoch shalom l'shmo. Then you can refine. One can refine oneself to do it bekatnos, to serve Hashem with modesty. Aval achar kach, after this, el mizbeach ha'elyon lo ya'alu l'reach nichoach. But after the first bringing to the mizbeach, to the mizbeach ha'elyon, to the high mizbeach, lo ya'alu l'reach nichoach, you shouldn't bring the saor, the sourdough, and the devash, the honey. We shouldn't bring it to the high mizbeach. She'ein nachas ruach lefanav yisbarach shemo begavos chas v'shalom, because Hashem doesn't have any nachas ruach, any joy from this. If one is doing it with begavos, with haughtiness, chas v'shalom. We have to realize that we should be modest in front of Hashem. Ki toavas Hashem kol gevad leiv. It's Toavas Hashem, it's something that is mius to Hashem. It's something that Hashem does not like. Kol gavalev, anyone that is haughty. Anything, and all haughtiness is not Toavas Hashem. He rejects it. Ki Toavas Hashem, Kol gavalev. The Ksiv, and it's written, Mishlei Tes Zayin, in the Proverbs, Mishlei Tes Zayin, that's 16. V'darshu Rabbeinu Zechronam Lebracha, the Rabbanon learned, Sota Dafei Amar Aleph, Afila B'cholshu, even B'cholshu, with a little bit of gabohus, of haughtiness. We shouldn't go to Hashem. We should try to understand that we should be modest in front of Hashem as much as we can be. This is from Keser Shem Tov, Ches Beis, Daf Yud Ches. Let's see, there was a note over here, a footnote. Perush HaRemez B'Saor B'Devash. The remez, the saor, the sourdough B'Devash, and the devash, the honey. It alludes. This is what it alludes to. Zayin. It alludes to gabos. To gabos is haughtiness. Let's see what it says in the text, the footnote. B'tov. Okay. Parshas Nasei, Dafnon Aleph, Amid Aleph, B'Zel Lashono. Kevar Zacharti B'Beir Pasuk. We already remembered in the explanation of the pasuk. Ki chol saor b'chol devash lo saktiru mimeno ishe l'Hashem. All saor, all of the sourdough, and all of the honey, lo saktiru. We should not put this as a ketoros, as a on the mizbeach, to offer it on the mizbeach. Ishe l'Hashem, as a burnt offering to Hashem. Lehosir me adam haga'avo v'hata'avo. Lehosir me adam haga'avo v'hata'avo. To take away from a person gaiva, that's haughtiness, v'taiva, and the wanting the physical, the going after physical sensations, and we have to try to stay away from that if we're bringing a carbon to Hashem. Oz b'neikel yuchel lidvak bo yisparach shemo. If we take away the gaiva and the taiva, the gaiva, the haughtiness, the taiva, the physical, oz b'neikel yuchel lidvak bo yisparach shemo, then it's very easy to become attached to Hashem. V'zehu saor v'devash, and this is saor, the sourdough, v'devash, and the honey. Ki saor romes ligaiva. Saor, the sourdough, is a remez to gaiva. That's the gaiva is the haughtiness, because the saor rises. It makes the dough rise. And the gaiva makes some of the person's personality rise. V'devash lihana, and the devash, honey, is a remez to hana, wanting benefit from the physical, from eating whatever it is, whatever. V'devash lihana, so devash symbolizes hana, benefit. B'shnei b'sulin b'matzah. Both of them are, one can't put saor or devash or honey in matzah, because it makes it rise. Ach shehutva b'teva ha'adam yefshar lifrosh mehem. Ach, however, shehutva b'teva ha'adam. This was imprinted in the nature of the man. One can't separate oneself from it. Only through Yisurin, through hardships, unfortunately, or the deprivation, then one can little by little get away from, little by little one can get away from the Gaiva and Taiva, Vayin the common perish. In other words, it's like a little bit of a steps, baby steps. So in other words, it's in all these things are imprinted. It's like a matbeya. Matbeya is a coin. B'teva adam, in the nature of a man, it's stamped in. So one cannot separate oneself from it. Ki im al yidei yisurin, except through yisurin. Yisurin means hardships, unfortunately, a little bit of suffering. Well, depriving oneself of these things are suffering. So that is the Yisurin. That's the Yisurin. So okay. So in other words, it says we have to try to, when we bring the avoda to Hashem, to do it as modest a way as possible. And then there was Zion, like Hamon parshas Chukas. It says in parshas Chukas, Os Aleph, Mevor Inyan Zeh B'Yarichas, Ayin Shem. Oh, it says in the Kamon, in Parsha, the Kamon, I think that means further on, further up, in parshas Chukas, Os Aleph, Mevor, it explains it, Inyan Zeh B'Yarichas, Ayin Shem. So what's that? So what are we talking about here? Zion. Let's see Zion. Zion. Rotalama Rashis is Karbos LaHashem Yisbarach Mutar Lihios Begabos. The beginning of one's going towards Hashem Yisbarach. One can do it begavos with a little bit of pride, with pride. So that's he explains it over here. Zayin lekaman in parshas Chukas, Os Aleph. It explains this barichas in more depth. It explains it with more depth. So in other words, so we have to try to do things we're serving Hashem in a modest way, not to be so proudful and make a big showing of everything. We're davening to Hashem, we're bringing a carbon to Hashem, or we're learning, or we're doing a mitzvah. This is the Baal Shem Tov. This is the Baal Shem Tov on the Chumash and the Siddur, and here this tells you about it here. And I'm sure, and there's a lot of this in English. There's to learn from the Baal Shem Tov. Okay, Yeshikayach, thank you for watching, and Kol Tov. Refuos v'Yeshuos, Kol Tov.